She was 2 miles from safety. She survived 26 days out there, and no one found her for 2 years. In 2013, a retired nurse named Geraldine Largay set out to hike the Appalachian Trail. Friends called her Inchworm. Slow, steady, determined, 2,000 miles of wilderness, one careful step at a time. By late July, she'd walked over 1,000 miles through the mountains, heading north toward Maine's Mount Catat. Her hiking partner had left weeks earlier for a family emergency. Now Geraldine walked the trail alone. She was less than 200 miles from the finish. The hardest miles were already behind her. On the morning of July 22nd, she stepped off the path for a moment of privacy in the trees. The Maine woods here are dense, a tangle of spruce and fir where every direction looks exactly the same. When she turned to walk back, the trail was gone, swallowed by green in every direction. She did the thing so many lost hikers do. She kept moving, certain the path was just ahead. Every step she took, searching for it, carried her deeper into the wilderness and further from rescue. At 11 that morning, she pulled out her phone and typed a message to her husband, George. In some trouble, got off trail to go to the bathroom. Now lost. She pressed send, but out here there was no signal. The text sat on her phone, undelivered. George never saw it. She tried again, and again. Dozens of messages into the void, none of them ever leaving the mountain. 2 days later, when she didn't reach her next stop, George reported her overdue. The Maine Warden Service launched one of the largest searches in the state's history. Aircraft swept the canopy. Dogs worked the trail. The FBI joined. Hundreds combed the woods. They searched for 7 days and found nothing. Not a footprint, not a scrap of gear. The forest was simply too thick, too vast. On July 30th, the active search was suspended, but Geraldine was still alive. And just off the trail, she had done something remarkable. Knowing rescuers look for lost hikers, she stopped wandering. She made camp in a small clearing. She pitched her tent, rationed her food, and waited to be found, exactly as the experts advised. She was perhaps 2 miles from the trail. Searchers passed within a mile of her camp, but the canopy hid her tent, and the noise of the wind hid her voice. They never knew she was there. Through it all, she kept a small journal, a quiet, steady record of her days alone. She wrote about the weather, about her hunger, about her faith and her family and her hope. On the 6th of August, she wrote a note meant for whoever might one day find her. She asked them to call her husband and her daughter, to tell them what had happened to her. The entries show she survived at least 26 days in that clearing, possibly longer. Alone, rationing, waiting, writing, holding on far longer than almost anyone could. And then, sometime in the late summer of 2013, the journal goes quiet. The search wound down. The seasons turned. Geraldine Largay became a mystery of the Maine woods. For 2 years, no one knew what had become of her, or how she could have simply vanished. Then in October 2015, a forester surveying nearby land came upon a collapsed tent. Beside it were her belongings, her journal, and the remains of the hiker called Inchworm. She was found less than 3 miles from the trail she'd stepped off 2 years before. The medical examiner's finding was quiet and devastating. She died of exposure and starvation. She had done almost everything right. The wilderness only needed her to be wrong once. 2 miles from the trail, 1 wrong turn, and a forest patient enough to wait forever. If this one stayed with you, do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe to the Backcountry Files so the next case finds you. Because out here, the wilderness always keeps score.